Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be taking a first look at the game Hoplite. This is a second printing. The game was originally printed in 2014, and you can easily tell that if you look at the side of the box here. You can see it says 1403-24. 1403 indicates the original published number of GMT games for third game of 2014, and obviously just reprinted. This is part of the P500 delivery I just received in the nick of time here. I also have the Fields of Fire Deluxe Edition upgrade and the Fighting Formations US 29th Infantry Division. We'll be doing separate looks at those later on. So let's take a look at this guy. So this is the 15th volume in the Great Battles of History. And it is featuring the warfare in the Greco-Persian Age, 5th to 4th centuries BCE. And the original system design, of course, is Mark Herman. The Hoplite game system design is by Richard Berg, the late great Richard Berg. Game development was Alan Ray, and our graphic artists were Roger McGowan, who unfortunately recently passed away, along with Charlie Kibler. And Kai Jensen was the production coordinator for this. So Hoplite is the 15th volume in the Great Battles of History series of games, allowing players to recreate classic battles from the pre-Alexandrian Greco-Persian Age, the heyday of the Hoplite, which are heavy infantry fighting in packed formations, if you're not familiar. A period that is often considered the birth of Western warfare as opposed to the Persian Eastern style, which relied on archery, light cavalry, and mobility. Exactly how Hoplite warfare was fought, what really happened when the bell rang, is highly disputed by ancient military historians even today. Hoplite allows you to test out your theories with 11 of the great battles of this era, from the Battle of Leuctra, featuring the huge 60-man deep phalanx of Boeotarch Epaminondas, that's a great name, to the classic confrontations between the Persian missile-armed troops and the classic Greek hoplite phalanx, using detailed mechanics meant to convey all the possibilities of this style of warfare. So I won't read the whole thing. It's a lot. But this package includes the simple Great Battles of History 2nd edition versions for each of these battles. So that's cool, because I do have that. That highlight the Hoplite style of warfare. So you get a little look at the counters here. 1 to 4 players, 14 and up. Solitaire suitability is an 8 on the 1 to 9 scale, so that's pretty high. Complexity is a 6, 1 to 8 hours. Now, if you've seen any of the other videos I've done on this series, Great Battles of History, it's not a simple system. They do have the simple Great Battles of History, which makes it a little easier. But you can get it. It's a little bit, there's a lot of nuance to it, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. But it's not like it's impossible to learn to play this game. All right, so I'm going to crack open the box and we'll take a look at what's inside. Okay, here we go. Box open. All right, here we've got the rules. So this would be your rules manual, okay? And it tells you what battles you've got. Ephesus, Marathon, Platea, Mycale, Tanagra, Delium, Cunaxa, Nemea, Coronia, Leuctra, and Mantinea. Sorry. Okay, so we got 31 pages of rules here. And then, of course, we also have a scenario book. So I typically do the printed reading materials first. So we will continue that particular thing here. And we'll take a look at the rule book. Okay, so got an introduction. This is the 15th volume in the Great Battles of History series of games. And it does, as we read on the back of the box, go back to classic battles from pre-Alexandrian Greco-Persian Age. And so notes for players. Hoplite, while not an overly difficult game to learn or understand, uses a tactical system which rewards those who know what their men can do and how to exploit the capabilities of even the worst of them. That's kind of true of most war games. If you don't know what your units can do, you're probably not going to do particularly well. Then there are things that, for people who haven't played a historical simulation before, for those who haven't played this system before. For those who have played the Great Battles of History system, Hoplite is somewhat less complex than previous volumes. That's good to hear. Retains all the core rules from the earlier titles. A number of rules have been dropped, reflecting the changes history and the creative muses. The changes history and the creative muses have wrought. Nice, nicely done. Moreover, several of the familiar charts and tables have undergone era-appropriate revisions. A thorough review of the charts and tables is heartily recommended. Okay, so then you get your maps. Each battle map. Each battle uses game maps on which is overlaid a hex grid. Playing pieces, combat units. So if you're not familiar, a big thing with this system is troop quality. It mentions troop quality right here, which is TQ, movement capability. So they're rated for those two things. Units that are capable of firing missiles also have a missile indicator showing the type of missile. B equals an archer using a one-piece simple bow. C equals archers using Eastern composite bows. J is javelin, and S is slingers. And then you've got images of the counters that are used. Each combat unit has two sides. Front side indicates the unit's in command. That would be this. And then out of command is on the back. So quickly, if we take a quick peek at that, you can see the back of the unit has a stripe on it that indicates that that is out of command. Okay, and then you have examples of units. So let's pull this up here. Let's take a better look at it. So of course you've got overall commander Cyrus, and then you have formation commanders. So you have your overall commander who is the man in charge, and then you'll have people underneath him who maybe handle various wings of the army, etc. Combat units have two ratings, troop quality and movement. And you can see here the unit ID, the type, that's light infantry. Your movement allowance is the Fore, right? And then your command color over here, that's yellow. Missile type is C, right, for the compound bow. And your troop quality is the bigger number there, kind of in the middle. That's 6. Then you cannot shock light infantry with a box on it. Cannot shock red unit type. You can see the red unit type up here as well. They're not eligible for shock combat, which is basically when you just shove your formation into the enemy. And then you've got Spartan hoplites with a red triangle, loose formation hoplite boxed type. You can see the box around the HO there. Then you've got some markers that are used for cohesion hits. That's this one right here. Shock must check troop quality. So when you want to go into shock, or you're about to be hit by the enemy, you have to have the troop quality check, and then rallying, and then charts and tables and the die. Basic stuff, right? And you've got your terminology here. Military units, the different types of units, hoplites, phalanxes, heavy infantry, medium infantry, and they all have the unit type printed right on them, like HI for heavy infantry or LI for light infantry, as we just saw. Peltasts, which is the most common form of light infantry of the day, descended from the famous Thracian peltasts. You've got skirmishers, javelinists, archers, slingers, etc. Light cavalry, heavy cavalry, chariots even. But by this time they were outmoded. They were really missiles on wheels more than anything else, is what it says right there. Game scale. The numerical strength of units is relative, not absolute. The number of men in a hoplite phalanx depends much on the depths and ranks. So you can see the phalanx here is it's a double wide unit. Because of its size, it takes up more space on the map. And then you have your game length, sequence of play. So this is important, of course. Initiative, determination, activation, your orders phase, which is missile, movement and missile fire. Then you have your shock combat segment. Then you have, and there's sub segments of those. And when we play, we'll go through all of the various rules, and that's coming up some point in the not too distant future, because I really enjoy Great Battles of History. So we will play this, or I will play this and make gameplay videos, basically, is what I'm saying. The route, remove, replace, and reload phase, and then the withdrawal phase. And our leader counters explains the roles of leaders, what they do in combat. Your activation and orders, so you activate a unit You get an activation marker for each command in his army as defined in the scenario setup, and one momentum activation marker. So the Spartan example, Mia, the Spartan player has 3 activation markers available: Hoplite, Cavalry Skirmisher, and the Spartan Momentum activation marker. The Theban player also has 3 AMs: Hoplite, Cavalry, and the Theban Momentum AM. So at the start of each turn, the player with the initiative selects which of his command activation markers he wants to use to start the turn. This AM is set aside, and all other AMs available for that turn are placed in a cup or other opaque gizmo, the AM pool, for blind draw during the turn. So that's how you kind of alternate who gets activated. You pick the first one, and after that, it's somewhat up to the gods of tabletop warfare. Trumping, you have the ability to trump, which is the mechanism for canceling the opponent's activation, and instead substitute an order phase for a friendly command. So there is a mechanism for that. You've got your order mechanism, various commands that you can do, including special commands, then movement rules, hoplites advance to combat. Again, I'm not going to get into the rules too deeply here. Terrain, hoplite phalanx movement, column movement, right? Because you can put them in column. They can move. It costs you a movement point to change formation, but they get better movement when they are in column. They increase their movement allowance by 1 from 4 to 5. So if you need to get somewhere slightly faster, that's how you would do it. Then you've got examples of what front, back, or front, rear, and flanks are. We've got a double wide unit here, as you can see, and then on the single hex unit, you can see the same arrangement, right? The 2 hex sides are flank on both sides, and your front and rear hex side is your front and rear. So you do use facing in this game. Orderly withdrawal, prearranged withdrawal, stacking, facing, as I just mentioned. Then we've got missile combat rules, harassment and dispersal, reaction fire. Missile combat in this is very well done. There's a whole sequence for it. It's extremely well done in this system. Shock combat and how that works. This is a big part of it, right? Because it's a big part of the infantry crashing into each other and doing that old style hack and slash, momentum push, all that stuff. Routed marker here. You can see an example. Lots of examples, so you can get picked up. These are cohesion markers that the higher that number is, the worse off your unit is. They become a lot more brittle and can rout. And you can see routed, your troop quality goes down to a 1 when you are routed. You've got advance after combat. There are rules for when you can and cannot do that, of course. Personal combat between the leaders is also a part of the system, which is cool. Shock combat charts and tables, then special units and the rules for them, like light troops, the peltasts, the chariots, the cavalry charge formations, pursuit, Theban double depth and massed phalanx, the locked shield wall, loose formation, all kinds of cool little historical things in here. Effects of combat, the cohesion hits, your routing, and so on. Engaged, rally and recovery, army withdrawal, and victory. And that is it. Nice index on the back, so if you need to look something up, you can find it. Now we've got our scenario book. I won't go through this too much. Basically, it kind of goes through your counter abbreviations here, your leader counter, and what their names are. It's because you can't. Some of the names were long, right? So you can see here Androcleides. Man, I should be able to pronounce that. It's not that complicated, actually, but you can see it's ANDRCLDIS because it's too wide for the counter. The counters are pretty small. So here you have, this is what the maps look like. They're generally fairly plain because battles in the ancient era, especially in this part of the world, were fought on big fields where there wasn't a lot of terrain, especially when you were talking about maybe the Persians, where they're fighting in pseudo-desert type terrain, I guess. But you can see it's fairly open, and the armies kind of line up in formations, and you'll have various wings, whatever, commanded by sub-commanders behind the big guy, the main general. And so you get your deployment rules, who's commanding. Aristogoras here is the overall commander. Then he's got commanders under him, Eualcides, I guess, and then further on down, and then Charopanus is commanding the skirmishers. These are the units that are under these guys, so you get the idea. And then the Persian army over here, Megabades, Darius, and Datis, and then their units and various any other commanders? No, I don't think so. And then you get the simple version as well. And here's the famous Battle of Marathon, right? This was a very, very famous battle where the term marathon for the long run comes from this battle. So you have that one as well. It's a fairly large one. And you got Plataea. And here you can see a battleground where you have some terrain effects, some higher ground, some water, etc. This is a very large battle. You can see the size of the army at the top here, and the other army kind of spread out in various units that will probably have to come together in some kind of cohesive force to attack there. Okay, so this is your, as I said, this is your book here, Michaelae, and we've got all the units, Tanagra, all the battles rather, Delium, Canoxa, etc. And they all come with simple Great Battles of History versions, which is nice. So here we've got some of our charts. So here's our route point tracking for the two sides. It's fairly generic. It's only single-sided because you're going to use this to put things on. And we've got some charts. So you've got these two are identical, right? Charts and tables 1. So you've got a movement cost chart. And then on the inside, shock stuff, right? You got your comparative weapon system. So when you're fighting different types of units, you're going to have a different factor based on that, right? So here's our defenders, here's our attackers. You kind of match them up by column and row. That'll give you kind of a modifier. Then you've got shock superiority and your shock combat result table with a key and all that good stuff. On the back, we've got missile, fire versus armor, the Hoplite advanced combat table, and then your missile range and results table. So you've got the range in hexes and the types of missiles that you can fire. This is the same thing. So that was the movement on the front. And we've got two copies of this for 2 players, of course. The cohesion hit and troop quality check chart, automatic hits, and what needs a check. On the inside, leader casualties, unit status effect summary for what happens when a unit is in certain conditions. Out of command, they may only move and or missile fire, but cannot move adjacent to an enemy unit. So on and so forth. Engaged, routed, etc. Right? Leader rating summary, so what the ratings on the leader counters mean, and then your order summary, and on the back you've got the nice sequence of play. So we get 2 copies of that as well. Then we've got 2 copies of the terrain effects chart. And on the inside, weapon system, DRM matrix, your unit capability chart, your shock results table, and on the back, missile range and results, advanced to combat, and the die roll summary. We get 2 copies of that as well. Now we get to the fun stuff. Here are our counters. So this is sheet number 1, and you can see Persia. So you've got their markers for their activations, and then units, right? Bactria, Egypt, Persia, and the various types. So you got medium infantry here, chariots, light infantry, skirmishers, etc. And over here we have more, and they all have their own colors, which lets you identify them as you kind of keep them together, right? Pretty straightforward. Here we have counter sheet 2. So this one is got some leaders on it as well. So you can see Pausanias. Now again, these are abbreviated, right? Because we saw the key in the rule book. Or in the, I think that was the scenario book, actually. So you've got some more down here, hoplites, etc. Then you've got Persia, chariots, more light infantry, some hoplites here. And then you have some Greeks on this side with some hoplites, their activation markers, Sparta, right? So these are Spartans here on this side. There's Corinthians, etc., Athenians. Okay, and then here we have some of the double wides, the big guys here. So these are your double-sized hoplites, and you can see Thebes, Argos, etc. Right, various areas. Here's the Athenians. We got Spartans over here, Greek mercenaries, and then advancing markers, advance at a run, advance at a trot, and then a couple of the cohesion markers. And obviously they do have two sides, so you can see the out of command side with the stripe at the bottom. And then counter sheet 4, which is the last one. This is mainly markers, but we do have some Thebans on here. Up here is their commands. Then you got some leaders, and then we have markers. The shock must check TQ, you're routed, your missile low, and on the back of that is missile no, which means your missile's out, you don't have any anymore. And then your various cohesion markers, they are also double-sided, so they're odd on this side and even on the back, and you flip them as needed. So those are our counters. And I like to keep them in order because I'm weird. So we'll do that and take these as well. And now we'll take a look at a map. So here is Marathon. And I won't probably be able to show you the whole thing, so we'll take it in pieces. All right, so here is the top part of the map. We'll move the box here. So here's the top part of the map. This, of course, is the famous Battle of Marathon. The water feature on the right side here is the Bay of Marathon. We do have the river there. You also have down here at the bottom, we have some forest and some higher ground. You can see Mount Pentelicus here, Pentelicus maybe. And then on this side, you've got Mount Cotrone. So that's Marathon. There are two sides, as you might expect, save paper. This is Plataea on this side. And you can see again, you've got river. This is the Asopus River. You've got some ridges here, the Asopus Ridge and the Pyrgos Ridge. Then down here, it's just kind of cool. You've got the town of Plataea with a temple of Hera up here and a nice ancient city kind of here. And so that is that one. And we've got a few more maps here. So let's take the next one out. This one this one is used for multiple battles because it's pretty plain. So there are no terrain features on here at all. And it's used for Canaxa, and it tells you that's in Mesopotamia, Persia, September 3, 401 BCE, Corinth, Greece, from Nemea, July 394 BCE, and Coronea, Boeotia, Greece, August 394 BCE. On the other side, we get something a little bit more interesting, which is the other half of the Plataea map. So you can see there's other towns on here. We've got Skolos over here. Here's the Persian camp. And then at the bottom, we've got some more interesting stuff here. You've got Erythrae and Hyceae over here, the Temple of Demeter. So Plataea, as befits a very large battle, has a double map. It's a two-mapper. And then we have the final map sheet, which has Mycale on one side and Delium on the other side. So Delium, well, it's two battles on this one. So this is a half map for Delium, and the only real feature on here is this ridge or hill mountain, I guess. Multiple levels, and then another blank half mapper for Ephesus, Tanagra, and Luectra. And of course, Mycale on the other side, and Mantinea on the bottom. So here's Mycale, a river here. You've got the water here, Latmian Bay. You've got the Persian camp down here, and then in Mantinea, which is on the bottom half, we have more. You've got some woods down here at the bottom, down here at the bottom. We've got a ridge here, and then we've got several rivers coming through here. Well, streams, I guess. So this is another half mapper. So you have a nice variety of maps, some half maps, some full maps, and one double map. Baggies, as you would expect from GMT, they tend to always include those. One single D10, that's all you need for this game. And that is the end of this look at the game Hoplite, second printing. Game system by Richard Berg and Mark Herman. This is ancient warfare in the pre-Alexandrian Greco-Persian age of the 5th and 4th centuries BCE. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, etc., feel free to post them, and I will do my best to reply. But look forward to some gameplay for this guy at some point in the not too distant future. Actually, all 3 games I got from GMT in this most recent batch are things I want to play. So I don't know what order they'll get played in, but they will get played, and they will get played for video. But that's going to do it for this one. I'm Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel, and until next time, as always, happy gaming.